Hung Chen asks, great vid, Emma. Unrelated question, does it ever occur to you to share about your setup for video editing? Many content creators give the impression of all of these works are done on fancy setups. How about yours? Do you have a fancy setup yourself for editing? I'm curious. Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, hi, my name is Emma, and today we're back with part 2 of the What I Wish I Knew with starting a YouTube series. We finished part 1 last week, which was all about the mindset, the reason why I started YouTube, the planning, the scripting, the idea generation process. And on today's video, we're going to be talking more about the technical stuff, like about my gear, the software that I use, filming setup, my editing workflow, how much time everything takes, and all of those numbery things. So if you haven't watched part 1, be sure to check it out in the cards right over there. Otherwise, let's get started. First of all, let's talk about my camera, what I'm actually filming with. I have been and am filming on my phone with all these videos that you have seen on my channel. It is a Samsung S23 Ultra, and I film on HD settings because I found that to give like a decent quality without taking up way too much storage space, without taking up way too much storage space, without taking up way too much storage space on my phone, I decided to not invest in like a separate camera, but just use my phone instead to film because I can look at playback really easily. Also very portable. I don't have to take any extra equipment with me when I'm out and about, and I'm good to film whenever. I don't think I've ever filmed on a proper camera. It's always been on my phone with whichever phone that it was. If you've seen some of my first videos on YouTube back from 2020, I believe I filmed the majority of that footage on an iPhone 4. And then this next one was on an iPhone 5 that my friend passed down to me in college. Valerie, if you're watching, thank you. I've always gone with what I've had on hand. So if you're looking into gear, don't let your camera be what holds you back from starting filming. You can always film on whatever phone that you have. Something else that was really important to me when I was looking into gear was whether I should prioritize video quality or sound quality. And in the end, I decided on prioritizing sound over video quality. The reason behind that being, I live in a very noisy area of town and there is construction everywhere. We have 2 major hospitals just across the road. So this is what it's gonna sound like without the microphone, and you will probably hear a lot of the background noise over my voice. And construction, there's that. So I don't want you guys to have to hear that. However nice my background looks, however good the quality is, if there's a lot of background noise, that really messes with the video watching experience. The other thing being, I feel like my voice does not really pick up on camera really well, like with the built-in mic on my phone or just cameras in general, like especially when I'm filming interviews with my friends, even when we have these like double mics. Usually the mic is able to pick up my friends' voices better than my own. So you have been in the UK
for 10 years,
for
yes.
10 whole years. But when I'm filming by myself here, I can kind of tune the levels of the audio to fit my voice. I got myself the Comico Vimo C3. It comes with 1 receiver in the middle here and 2 microphones, 2 transmitters. And this box here is the portable charging case, which makes it very convenient to bring around with me. The reason I decided to get a double microphone set is I knew at some point I might want to interview other people or just have other people in my video, and I wanted to have the liberty of each of us having a mic. For my mic stand, as you can see, this is my trusty water bottle. It came as a spontaneous necessity. I was looking around for something to put my mic on my first day of filming and found this one lying around the house. Slowly, it has become a very important part, a very unique touch to this channel, and it is very much here to stay. My tripod, I first got this portable tripod. This is the Rec M11, which I believe is the dupe for the Ulanzi MT11 tripod. All the links of my gear will be listed in the description down below. I think they're called like octopus or tarantula eggs octopus or tarantula legs or something like that. It's actually quite sturdy. To be honest, I've actually broken one already, but I'm taking good care of this one. Go on like a lot of surfaces. I can bring it around with me when I'm traveling, or these days I have it in my backpack all the time when I'm going to class or when I'm just out and about in the city. I used to prop it up on different shelvings and tables and stuff to help me film before I eventually got my hands on a larger full-length tripod, which is the Weifeng WT3520, which I take with me to film in public when I'm filming by myself. You guys may already know this, but these days I have been attending tailoring academy and I take my trusty little tripod with me and I film in class. And the funny thing is I have unintentionally converted several of my classmates to also get this tripod. Like, I didn't even tell them to buy it. They've just seen me vlogging with this tripod and how kind of like dynamic it is as a piece of equipment. And I think 3 or 4 more people in my class have gotten their hands on this tripod. I don't have any extra lighting equipment. I just film using natural lighting within the day, and it means that I just have to be a little bit more aware of my surroundings, how the light is hitting, if there are shadows or anything. I also have a 1 terabyte hard drive so that I can push some of my old footage out onto. I have about 1 year's worth of footage on my hard drive right now, which is about 300 gigabytes or a third of the capacity of the hard drive. So those are my one-time non-recurring costs. Here is the grand total. Please feel free to pause the video and take a closer look at that if you would like. With gear, I would say don't let gear be what stops you from creating content if that is what you want to do. There are ways to be really resourceful. I have friends who live in like a very quiet environment unlike my own, so they don't even need an external mic. You can film on your laptop camera, you can film on your iPad camera and your tablet camera if you have that handy. And oftentimes your tablet will have auto noise canceling functions and it's free. I pay for 3 different things. The first being Adobe Premiere Pro, which is my editing software. I use Premiere Pro because I started editing videos, specifically these ones, back when I was in college. My student ID came along with the Adobe subscription, or included in the school fees back then, and then I kind of got used to it, so that's why I continue to pay for it these days. I also pay for Canva Pro to edit my thumbnail, as well as the graphics that I use in my videos. The third and final subscription is Epidemic Sound, which is where I find the majority of my background music. For 1 year, that comes out to a grand total of this much. To be honest, I actually enrolled in Ali Abdaal's $1 YouTube Foundations program. It was like a quick rundown on the basics of setting up your YouTube channel. I am bummed that it's not available anymore, but who knows, maybe he will relaunch that in the future. Some useful tips I found had to do with lighting. Most days I am filming with light shining from the side of my face, light at 45-degree angle. It's just that today I am enjoying filming on this floor setup here and the light is direct, which is usually a little bit harsher. Yes, although it is direct lighting from my window, it is actually about 5 p.m. right now, which means the sun is setting and shining light that way. So I'm getting more light bouncing off of the wall onto my face, which recreates that soft indirect lighting as opposed to direct lighting, which will look a lot harsher. I think last week's video was filmed a little earlier in the day, which meant that the lighting was a little bit more direct and you could see a lot more of like the blemishes on my skin. So yes, 4 to 5 degree lighting from this side or from this side will make it the most pleasant lighting angle to look at. To create depth in your filming setup, I have found that having some light at the back and some plants somewhere, today it's also in the back, sometimes I have it here in the front, also brings a little bit more softness to your video and it doesn't feel too flat. In terms of framing, when I edit a video, I usually frame this talking head to have my head graze the top of the screen, and the frame will still capture my hand movements. But when I'm filming, I don't necessarily have to crop it right here. I usually zoom a little bit out so that I have some more peripheral space here, just in case I ever need to shift the video to the left and to the right to have a little bit more space for extra on-screen notes or whatnot. So please don't freak out if your framing is off when you're just filming raw footage. You can always crop it in editing. After you've settled your filming setup, do your mic checks, make sure the sound is running, do a test run, make sure that you enjoy the framing of your video for that day. And once you have your footage, let's get on to video editing. Over the last 12 to 15 months filming for YouTube, I have tweaked my workflow a little bit here and there, and I'll share with you guys some of my favorite tips that helps this move a lot more smoothly. A big chunk of my videos are these types of talking head, tutorial type videos, and when I can, I will try to edit this footage the day of filming it, because this filming experience is still very fresh in my mind. I still remember where I delivered something well, where I stuttered, where I repeated myself, and I know where to jump around and edit it down quickly without having to go through all that footage from the very beginning. However, if it is like a daily vlog, I usually do not edit it the day of, because I have just lived that day and I don't feel like reliving it that very evening. So I would leave it 1 or 2 days before I actually go back and edit it. Something very, very, very important in editing, I would say, is to color code your different segments in the video and rename it when you can. It makes it so much easier to go back and locate footage. And it also helps when you have to make timestamps for your video later down the line. Throughout the year, I've also saved up a bank of different graphics or sound effects that I use on the regular in a folder like this to pull from. I have 3 to 4 main sound effects that I use. So this and this when something pops up on screen, and this for transitions. Every other video or so, I will add some new sound effect depending on what I'm trying to deliver. So those are my 3 main tips to get you started, which is first, edit on the day of filming. If you're doing these talking head videos, color code and rename different segments of your work. Saves you a lot of time later on, trust me. And 3 is to save a bank of graphics and sound effects that you will use regularly. Okay, now let's break down the actual editing workflow. Maybe I will use the B-roll for this exact video and it will be kind of like some Inception type thing. Let's take a 20 to 25 minute video tutorial, something like this, with me, the talking head or the A-roll, and some B-roll footage, some graphics over the top. Round 1 is my rough cut, where I take out all the stuttering, all the rambling, everything that I feel is no longer necessary for me to deliver the message of this video. And I will also note down any extra graphics or B-roll clips that I need to add in later on. So once that is done, I will go ahead and compile all the graphics that may be images on Canva, heading slides when I move between segments like this, and I compile it, download it down into a folder so that I can go back in for round 2, which is the fine cut, where I add in all these graphics that I have compiled. So between rounds 1 and 2 usually takes me about 6 hours. And then we move on to round 3, which is all about audio and effects. So your sound effects, your transitions, and your background music. So that will take me anywhere between 30 minutes to an hour, sometimes even more for very complicated videos. The video is basically done at this point. And so we move on to round 4, which is editing the subtitles. I use the auto subtitle generation function on Adobe Premiere Pro, but of course it doesn't pick up everything that I say the way that I say it. And I will go back and fix all the typos, as well as edit the phrasing of the subtitles. In whichever frame that you pause the video, the subtitle that you see will kind of make sense on its own, and it's not just like random cuts everywhere. This part will be about 2 hours long. And then round 5, which is my final run through the video, put the video on full screen mode, and I will sit back and look at it as though I am one of you guys, and I will edit out any extra typos that I see, any fine details that I've missed, and get to, objectively enjoy the video. And this will take me about 30 minutes. Just with editing alone, that is a grand total of 9.5, 10 hours of solid editing. We still have to work on the thumbnail, the description of the video, and compiling any extra information or links for the video if necessary. The thumbnail usually takes me about an hour. The description will take me anywhere between 15 minutes to an hour, depending on how complicated the description needs to be. That takes me to a grand total of about 11 hours. And that is not mentioning the idea generation and the scripting and the preparation, the kind of like setup for the video and all that stuff. And that is my time breakdown these days. When I first started out, I'm gonna be real with you, it took me about 2 weeks to edit one video, 3 weeks even, when I'm like trying to figure out my workflow for the first time, trying to figure out everything about like sound effects and how to like my own style of transitions, my own style of graphics, all that stuff. Such a big learning curve. At the beginning, I would kind of sit down and take 3 hours out of every evening to edit a video. But I realized it was not the most effective way to go about it, at least for me, because I feel like with 3 hours, I will have warmed up for a little bit, got into the flow a little bit, and then it's immediately time to go to sleep already. So what I do these days is I try to do this 10 to 12 hour editing spree in the course of 24 hours. So this is what it actually looks like on a weekly basis. I upload my videos on Saturday evenings. And throughout the week, I will always be on the hunt, be on the lookout for video ideas. But on Tuesdays are when I actually sit down and flesh out my ideas onto paper. On Wednesdays, I go back for a second draft of the video. On Thursdays, I film. My Friday afternoons and evenings are when I hunker down and hyper-focus and get in those like 8 hours of editing. And then the remaining 4 hours will be on Saturday morning so that the video is ready to be released Saturday evening. When I video edit, I hyper-focus. I turn my phone off to work mode so that I don't get any notifications. Turn my phone face down so that I don't see anything pop up in my peripheral vision, and I just edit. Before, I used to export my videos and then work on my subtitles afterwards, but then I decided that, I need to work on my subtitles anyway. So these days, I take great care to edit my subtitles well, have it burned into the video itself. As I'm exporting the video, now is when I go to edit my thumbnail and my description. Let's say with a video like this, where I will be leaving links to all the gear and software that I use, I will compile these links when I'm editing my script on my laptop to be ready to be copied into the description. The app that I use to edit my thumbnail is Canva. The free version can definitely take you a very long way. I do, however, use the paid version because I use a lot of their graphics as well within my video itself. So how do you go about editing your thumbnail for the very first time? I looked up basic tutorial. This one specifically, it will be also linked down below.
Both have had the backgrounds blurred out a little bit more to help the text pop out. And they are both using a curved text effect. Scroll down until we find autofocus and click on it. It automatically detects the background and blurs it out.
The creator walks you through like 3 or 4 different thumbnails, shows you how to observe the different elements in the thumbnail, put a name to the element, and how you can recreate it yourself. So this really helped me when I studied other YouTubers' thumbnails. I personally will choose the thumbnails that I resonate with, that makes me want to personally click on the video from some of my favorite creators. So Natasha Ocean has some of my favorite thumbnails. It's just so bright and colorful and neon, and it's like candy for my eyes. And I've learned to take her little like highlight element into some of my own thumbnails. Sometimes I have more laid back, chill, minimalistic thumbnails. So I will go and study Leah Field's notes, video thumbnails, and see how I can recreate something like that. So yeah, watching the basic tutorial really helps you be able to put a name to whatever you're seeing in other people's thumbnails. You can go search for a tutorial to how to do that, and then you can apply it to your own thumbnail. When I'm editing my thumbnail, I will have anywhere between 3 to 5 different renditions of the same or similar thumbnails. Let yourself experiment with different thumbnails and try different effects. Don't get too attached to one single type of thumbnail, and you might actually be surprised with which thumbnail you'll end up choosing. When I first started out, I used to pose for these thumbnails and take pictures with them. I don't know if it's just the posingness of it all or the fact that I may not know how to pose properly, but my photos would always come out looking very forced. So my little tip is to film in motion like this. So maybe I'll be like transitioning through different poses, and then what I end up capturing will be a frame when I'm moving between different poses, and it comes out always looking more natural. And my final tip for thumbnails is that if you want to add text on your thumbnail, it should be an extension of your video title and not a word-for-word copy of your title, because that will give the viewer no extra information of your video and they just have to read the same thing twice. With the description and upload details, I will always have my timestamps linked below, as well as resource links for these more tutorial-heavy videos. Again, I compile them during scripting because it will take up a lot of time for you to actually go back and find those resources all over again. And once that is finalized, the video is ready to be uploaded. So there you have it. That is everything that I use for my videos. In response to Hung's question, is my video setup fancy? Or Hung, if you're watching, do you find this setup to be fancy? I feel like fancy or not is a very subjective opinion. Personally, I don't think this to be particularly fancy. I feel like it's quite basic actually. But your tools can go a long way, and as long as you give yourself some time to learn how to navigate and use your tools, they can serve you quite well. And I can take this whole production with me wherever I go, basically. When I'm on the move, I always have my phone on me. I take with me this mic pack, which fits in the palm of my hand. Ow! Sorry. As well as this tripod in my backpack. So this is my entire filming setup on the go. Thank you, Hung, again for your question. If you guys have any questions pertaining to this more technical side of the YouTube creation process, please feel free to leave me those questions. And if you've already started your YouTube channel, what are some of your favorite editing or workflow tips to help this process run a little bit more smoothly? Anyhow, that is the end of this video. Thank you guys for watching it. I hope you guys have a wonderful week, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye! Oh! I think my leg died.